Chapter 10. Baby Outigh Tier 9 in the morning I came to the same Cedophile from which had view the world open evening familiarable. I thought of my half-style conclusions upon that evening and could not refrain from laughing bitterly at my confidence. Here was the same beautiful scene, the same abundant foliage, the same splendid palaces and magnificent ruins, the same rivet running between its fertile banks. The gay robes of the beautiful people moved hither and thither, and the trees. A Murabath-thinned annex, act like that place where I had saved Weena, and thought suddenly gave me a keen stab of pain. And like blots upon the land, Scaperosathikipto lay as above its waist of the underworld. I understood now what all the beauty of the overworld people covered. Very pleasant was their day, as pleasant as the day off the line field. Like these cattle they with no enemies and provided against no needs. And their end was the same. I grieved to think how brief the dream of the human intellect had been. It had committed suicide. It had set itself steadfast like towards comfort and is a balanced society with security and permanency as its watchword. It had attained its hopes to come to this at last. Once, life and property must have reached almost absolute safety. There had been assured of his will and comfort the toiler is assured of his life and work. No doubt in that perfect world there had been no unemployed problem, no social question left unsolved. And a great quiet had followed. Idicilla what nature overlook that intellectual versatility is the compensation for change, danger, and trouble. Bananas perfect lie in harmony with its environment, a perfect mechanism. Nature never appeals to intelligence until habit and instinct are useless. There is no intelligence where there is no change in the need of change. Only thoughts animals partake of intelligence if have to meet ready of needs and dangers. So as a the world man had drifted towards his feeble prettiness, and the underworld to mere mechanical industry. But that perfect state had lacked one thing even for mechanical perfection, absolute permanency. Apparently as time went on, the feeding of the underworld, however twain's affected, had become disjointed. Modern necessity, who had been staved off for a few thousand years, came back again, and she began below. The underworld being in contact with machinery, which, however perfect, still needs some little thought outside habit, had probably retained that perforce rather more initiative philosophy human character, than the upper. And when other meat failed them, they turned to what old habit had hitherto forbidden. Swaze saw it in the last fourth world feet 102,701. It may be strong an explanation as mortal we could invent. It is how the thing shaped itself to me, and as that I give it to you. After the fatigues, excitements, and terrors of the past days and my grief, the seat and the tranquil view and the warm sunlight were very pleasant. I was very tired and sleepy, and soon my theorizing passed into dozing. Catching myself at that, I took my own hint, and spreading myself out upon the turf I had a long and refreshing sleep. Yakia little Thori sunsetting felt safe against being caught napping by the Morlocks, and, stretching myself, I came on down the hill towards the White Sphinx. I had my crowbar in one hand, and the other hand played with the matches in my pocket. And no camera most unexpected as I approached the pedestal of the Sphinx I found the bronze valves were open. They had slid down into grooves. At that I stopped short before them, hesitating to enter. With Dineway Sawmill apartment on Don Arises Place in the corner of this was the time machine. I had the small levers in my pocket. So here, after all my elaborate preparations for the siege of the White Sphinx, was a meek surrender. I threw my iron bar away, almost sorry not to seat. A sudden thought came into my head as I stooped towards the portal. For once, at least, I grasped the mental operations of the Morlocks. Suppressing a strong inclination to laugh, I stepped thrust he bronze frame and up to the time machine. I was surprised to find it had been carefully oiled and cleaned. I have suspected since that the Morlocks had even partially taken it to pieces while trying in their dim way to grasp its purpose. Now as I stood and examined it, finding a pleasure in the mere touch of the contrivance, the thing I had expected happened. The bronze panels suddenly slid up and struck the frame with a clang. I was in the dark trapped. So the Morlocks thought. At that I chuckled gleefully. I could already hear their murmuring laughter as they came towards them. Very complimentary Dito strike much. I had only to fix on the levers and depart then like a ghost. But I had overlooked one little thing. The matches were of that abominable kind that light only on the box. You may imagine how all my comp vanished. The little brutes were close upon me. One touched me. I made a sweeping blow in the dark at them with the levers, and began to scramble into the saddle of the machine. Then came one hand upon me and then another. Then I had simply to fight against their persistent fingers. Formula for von Death's Amatima feel for the studs over which these say fitted. One indeed they almost get away from. As it slipped from me hand, I had to but in the dark with my head I could hear Themerlock s scullering tor covered. Twain's any everything than the fight in the forest. I think, this last scramble. But at last my leather walks fitted and publi door. Thessy yelling. Ink hand slipped from. The darkness presently fell from my eyes. I found myself in the same grey light and tumult I have already described.